action. My name's Gary Kasulu, and I am very privileged to be part of a survey about stuff, about social media, how it influences young people, all kinds of stuff. And today I'm joined by a giant of a student. She's going to interview me. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Stephanie Paniotu, fashion marketing student.
Oh yeah.
Research.
What's your favourite fashion band, out of curiosity?
I like Prada at the moment. It's my favourite.
Do you like what he did to his daughter Miu Miu?
What did he do?
So Miu, because the daughter, he's really sexist, the gent, and he said, look, I don't believe that you should take over Prada. It's a man's job. So her nickname was Mumu.
Right.
And Miu Miu is a brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the daughter of Prada.
Wait, I never knew that.
There you go.
Learn something new every day.
There you go. Ask me about another brand, then I'll tell you something about it.
Go on, tell me about Gucci.
Oh,
Any facts?
what normal stuff, like he started off in luggage and blah blah blah. Ask me about another brand.
Okay,
I like this game.
Any
Any.
luxury or
Anything more.
okay, Louis Vuitton. Let's see. Any
That you can't buy it anywhere other than Louis Vuitton. It's such an exclusive brand. I love what they've done. So do you know about what are those ugly shoes? And people put
I don't
stuff
know which
on.
ones you mean.
They put stuff on them like little jewels, and they're made of plastic, and they're so ugly.
Not Louis Vuitton.
Nah, this is like some plastic.
Oh, not the Valentino ones, no?
I don't know, man. Anyway, let's get on with this thing. You got me. You got me. Right. So if you're watching, watch to the end, and you're gonna learn about insightful stuff. They call what I'm about to do a thought leader. So we're gonna find out if I am a thought leader or if I'm full of shit. Let's go.
Well,
All right, let's
see.
go. Let's go.
Okay, so just starting off a bit about you. So how would you describe your occupation? What do you do?
I am an entrepreneur because I do multiple things. I see opportunity where others don't. I'm very privileged to say I was the first optician in the world to be on Facebook, as described by Meta. I'm the judge in this year's Business Book Awards for marketing, and I was also very privileged to be nominated as a most inspiring business person of the year. So all of that from a little island. I'm a third generation Cypriot, so there you go, all of that.
So what social media platforms do you post on the most, and why would you say that is?
It's evolved over the years. It flicks between LinkedIn, because that's a B2B platform, and Instagram, and Facebook now and again. But YouTube I love because YouTube links all demographic. Less so Snapchat, less so TikTok. Yeah.
Okay. So how would you say you establish a connection with your audience?
Well, connections can happen instantly or happen over time. But one thing's for sure, you need to be consistent. So if you're not consistent with your brand message and you respect, I speak to a lot of influencers, and they wouldn't disrespect their audience. They wouldn't disrespect their crowd, so their tribe, whatever you call it. So building a connection is just like a human connection. So it's about not breaking people's trust, showing up, doing as you say. So you run a competition, say I'm going to give this away for free. Say you don't do it, you won't have a connection for very much longer.
So you would say it's all about loyalty and trust, basically.
Showing up, and your audience is going to be interested in you for a reason. So my audience might be interested because they're an optician and they want to learn about digital marketing, or they're an entrepreneur. But certainly I wouldn't profess to talk about high fashion brands and be an expert on that. I wouldn't have an audience. That's your job.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what experiences have actually changed your perspective on your mindset and motivation? Would you say there's anything,
Yes,
like the work you've been doing, like just seeing yourself change as a person,
So
would you
this is
say
a very-
that's driven your motivation?
that's a very holistic question. and I want to make sure that I understand to answer it right. So can I ask you? Can I ask you to ask me that again, or how I understand it? So this isn't just general social media, or is this general social media how it's changed my mindset?
Sorry, say that again.
So
Just social media in general, or your
are you
mindset as a
asking me
whole?
about my mindset as influenced by social media, or just in general?
In general.
That's a great question. So I was young, very young, and I was ambitious, and I didn't know how to tile my mum's bathroom. So I learned, and I done it, and I saved my mum about £1,000. And then I wanted to learn how to sell better and communicate better. So I learned. So when the internet first came out, it was a much easier way than just going to the library. So I am that OG. I am that. I'm an old like there was no internet when I was born, right? So there was no internet as a teenager. So I loved information. I loved accessing information. I didn't know there were seriously amazing people that were doing YouTube videos or that I could access really easily. So now there's every idiot's got a podcast, right? So that wasn't the case 20 years ago. So for me to access and be BFF with Tony Robbins, or to listen to a talk from Brian Tracy, or any of these amazing people, I could, in a minute after this interview, I could sit down and listen to Barack Obama, or someone who is a thought leader and amazing. That's what the internet's done. So the internet hasn't given me any negative stuff necessarily. It's all been very, very positive by listening to people that are overachievers. Have you ever heard of neuro-linguistic programming? Check it out. If you're watching this and you're young, check it out, because it's called NLP, and it's the study of high achievers and literally seeing what patterns they have.
Okay.
I don't know if I answered that well.
So how would you say, like, the content you post and create is different from other people targeting the same kind of people?
I've thought about this a lot, actually. I thought, why is it that my social media content resonates with people? And it's about being authentic. And I can only speak for me. I'm not, like, I haven't got millions of followers, but I have been around a long time, and I'm just me on camera, and no one can be me. I can only be me. No one can copy being me, and it comes across, and people, when they meet me in real life, they're like, oh my god, you're just like on Facebook. Oh yeah, I am. Oh my god, you're just like in that video. I am. Who you see here is who my mum knows.
That's really important when you are posting, that you're completely honest, because people don't do that. So
isn't it funny? The algorithm copies human behavior, and the humans all trying to copy the algorithm. It's like completely messed up.
So would you say there's any people you collaborate with?
Lots.
Kind of the same thing as you, sort of thing.
Oh, loads. I think collaboration is wonderful. There's a lady called Abigail Gales, and she invented the 888 system. So 8 plus 8 plus 8 is 24. 24 hours in a day. She says sleep for 8 hours, work for 8 hours, play for 8 hours. That's a balanced life. I love working with her. I love working with a lady called Lucy Hall. She set out to inspire 1 million women to use digital marketing. She's actually had an impact on 20 million. I like working with her. I like working with Carol Fossey. She was top 1% of people in the world to be on LinkedIn. I geek out with these people.
So would you say those are your favourite sort of people that you've collaborated with? Because there's so many, but
the list is like, it's like picking up an Oscar and saying, oh, hope I don't miss anyone. It's been such a great journey of, in the early days when Twitter just started or LinkedIn had just started, it builds communities, and you see there's it's really cool just being one of the first people in the world on something. Like, you just heard me 10 minutes ago screaming with my kids that we We were one of the first people to have the paid for ChatGTP, and we just got the new version. Or Mid Journey, I've just got version 7. Like, I'm a geek. I love being like the first to do something.
It's exciting.
Very.
So,
have you ever done that? Have you ever been the first in the world to be on something?
not that I can think of.
Well, you will be.
I will.
You will.
So would you say there's any particular people whose content you like, who you
there's particular people that have influenced me in a massive way. So the first time I saw Gary Vaynerchuk, I was in awe. I was like, wow, his passion, the way he spoke, and he, I don't know how many followers he has. I think it's like something like 7 million, something ridiculous like that. And I got to hang out with him last week, which was pretty cool. Mari Smith, if you've ever heard of her, she's like the queen of Facebook. Yeah.
Those who you personally, you really like their mindsets, would you say then?
I like Tony Robbins, and I've got to meet Tony Robbins in real life. I've watched loads of his content. Have you heard of him?
I haven't actually.
Oh my god, he's the number one mindset guy. And people that are not even alive anymore, people like Napoleon Hill. Have you heard of him? You and I are going to give you loads of audio books. So Napoleon Hill, 100 years ago, he was quite obsessed with the overachiever. Why are so many people just average and then others are overachievers? And do you know what he found as the number one trait in an overachiever?
What?
He said that they go back to a positive mindset very quickly from a negative experience. So say this morning my toast burnt, that doesn't upset me for the whole day. It's just my toast burnt, put another one in or scrape it off. You're cool. Now there's people whose football team lose and they are mad for a whole week. A bird poos on your head, what do? You just wipe it off, carry on. Something goes wrong, just move on. That resilience of moving on helps a high achiever. What happens when you get a bad grade? What do you do?
Just move on. Work on the next one.
Just do it.
But people aren't the same. They don't always. They can't. They don't have it in them to just move on.
Watch out. There's 9 characteristics of a high achiever. That's the top one. They collaborate. They have hope.
So where would you say that you see Gen Z? So when we talk about Gen Z, we say 18 to 25 kind of, that's really the bracket. So where do you see these men's goals like going in the future?
Just men, yeah?
Yeah, these young men in particular.
I'm breathing with a heavy heart, and that's not because I'm faking it. I feel concerned for this age bracket because they lived through COVID, and COVID had a massive impact on relationships where like 3 years you were stuck with your parents. You couldn't really do anything more than sneak out, really. So 3 years of lockdown, of exam stress or exam. But do you know how shit, am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah.
How shit the teaching was from schools on Zoom?
Awful.
And they encourage you to switch your the teacher said don't leave your camera on. What do you think these lot were doing? They were pissing around. My kids were playing chess on one screen and playing games on another, and then they had that. There was no education, and when there was, it was so uninspiring. So you had 3 years of that, 3 years of no getting a flutter when you see a boy or a girl. You know, oh, I like that person. That was half the reason I went to school, to flirt with the opposite sex. And I'm not saying you could flirt with the same sex, whatever you want, right? So 18 to 24, COVID, it's had such an impact on anxiety because the relationship between, like, things would go wrong. And then it's just magnified. Social media is a shit for these people. Like, the amount of things that I did with your mom and with your dad, and we did silly things, it was never recorded. But like now, literally your life is recorded. And
so
that
happens, the phone's out. It's crazy how much it's changed. people don't live in the experiences anymore. They want to record these experiences.
And I get that, and because I'm that person too. But I got to grow up in a world which was really much more carefree, less tech. I think depression is higher for these young men, 18 to 24. They're certainly in the bracket for the highest suicide in any demographic. And I think they've lost the idea of masculinity. Who's that guy that is a right chauvinist pig? What's his name?
Andrew Tate.
Tate, yeah. So Tate had a massive following. Young men really idolized him, and it's because it's not like the word masculine has some kind of negative connotations, and it doesn't. It's all right to be masculine if you're a boy. It's actually all right. You can be masculine, and that's fine, and you can be feminine, and you can be whatever you want, and it's fine. But there's a lot of hang-ups there for those boys because they're confused. They don't know what's going on. And what's cool is it holding a gun and being part of a gang and showing off? Is it just being a geek? You got to find your crowd, right? And the thing is most people will find their crowd, but it's happening virtually, and you're in a room. Like we're human beings. We're meant to have community, and we're meant to have connection. And if all you're doing is sitting in your room, do you know how many kids are not going to school? Like, it's insane. Like 1 in 3, 1 in 4 isn't going to school. School refusers, they call them. Those kids are going to be really messed up. So the 18 to 24s, they're a bit messed up, but not majorly messed up. And I think they'd even admit that to themselves. I work with these young people. Some are super entitled, and they think they're owed everything. But let me tell you something. The UK and economy is going downhill fast. We are the least invested in country in the world, in the third world. I spoke to a man that makes laboratories. And these laboratories, he said that they used to all be in the UK. And since Brexit, they're choosing other countries. We've got the least investment here. These kids are up against people in India that will work for half. That you can work remotely. So if you're 18 to 24, my best recommendation is get some EQ, emotional intelligence, because having 7 GCSEs and 3 A levels doesn't get you a job. It gets you a certificate, people.
It's true. It's very true. So who would you say are some role models that you think these young men look up to? Why do you think that these
KSI, wow, boxers, athletes, they're looking up to musicians, all the right people that they should be looking up to. But where they need is the parents are being like I'm stealing this from Gary Vaynerchuk, right? He said that his mum was a badass, and he knew there would be consequences if he done wrong. And at this age group, 18 to 24, there's 0 consequences to you doing something wrong. You got no respect for anyone, no police, mum, dad. It's your world, and that's okay, that's cool. But you're gonna wake up and be 30 and be like, what the hell? What's just happened to me? So I love, you have so much potential. If you're 18 right now, you could be the Prime Minister. You could be a racing driver. You can be anything you put your mind to. But study mindset. Stay in a positive mindset. Love learning. A closed mindset is you think you know everything before you don't know. I don't know everything. No one knows everything. So be humble. Smash it out. That's what I'd say.
Good answer. I agree with everything.
Do you really? Would you tell me though? Would you say nah? I don't agree.
I would say
challenge
actually,
me.
I don't think that's correct, but I agree with everything that you said. So,
it's because we were one of the most proudest things I've ever done in my life is take on 50 young people a year. We take on work experience students, and we were the finalists for the best work experience in the UK, only beaten by McDonald's. So I know what it's like to work with 17-year-olds. I know, I've got one myself. So
what social media platforms would you say are the most influential to that sort of age bracket of the 18 to 25?
Definitely TikTok. TikTok's gone mad. Most young people are on there 3-4 hours. Do you believe that the algorithm is set differently for the Chinese TikTok? Do you believe that? Or do you think that's nonsense?
Yeah.
Because apparently, depends who you listen to, the Chinese TikTok teaches their children, work hard, study hard, you'll do well in life. The Western TikTok is set to work very little, be famous, and you'll be rich and happy. Now,
I think there's the other side to it as well.
which is?
Like the get up, you're being lazy, you need to make the money, you need to retire early, that sort of side of it as well.
Yeah, and how many people wake up early and do the hustle and try it? Like, it cracks me up. I've spoken to 2 people this week that said they're going to buy something from Temu and they're going to set up a website and they're going to do drop shipping. Do you know how late that is? You did that 5 years ago. Don't do it. You need to do something different. Temu exists. Back in the day, drop shipping worked because you bought a whole lot of stuff from China and you made a big investment. If you want to buy something and go to Temu, you only need to buy one. So I think that has finished. Get quick, rich, quick schemes are generally not going to work. You got to be patient, put the work in, you'll be rich.
So what role do you think influencers play in shaping the mindsets of these young men? And can you think of a specific example maybe where you've seen someone actually be really impacted by what they're seeing on social media?
Well, yeah, I again, just to use because it's so fresh in my mind, Gary Vaynerchuk, he was at a HSBC talk, and there was loads of young boys there between this age, and this kid put up his hand and he said, "Can I ask you a question?" Gary says, "Yeah," and he says, "I'm selling toothpicks." He's blowing up on TikTok. Have you seen him selling toothpicks?
I think I have seen some of his videos.
So he said, "Look, I'm selling toothpicks." Gary Vaynerchuk says, "Oh my God, I think toothpicks are going to be a new trend." So he walks onto the stage and starts talking to Gary Vee, sits right next to him. They try the toothpicks. It was awesome. So I was seeing in front of my eyes a 19, 20-year-old smashing it out in an arena full of men in suits. Like, he killed it. And I was so happy with that. I see KSI. He's such a positive influence on people. He's such a nice guy. I think that's a good thing. Generally, people are good. My audience, I don't seek the negative, so I'm not a good person to ask about that.
Okay. So have you seen any recent or emerging trends that you think are quite important for these men again? Anything on TikTok or?
Yeah, I just think it's getting more and more. The trend is it's becoming more and more of an influence. 10 years ago, the family would sit all together and watch Ant and Dec on a Saturday night, right? They'd watch a movie together. That game has finished, right? One's on his iPad, one's in the computer, one's playing PlayStation. And that's a shame, because we learn from our parents how to behave, what our values are. This is a really important thing, to have dinner around the table, and I'm slowly seeing this erode. So the trend I see is the traditional way of the family life. Kid comes home from school, dinner's ready. Like, I don't know how often that happens. Dinner's ready, mum's rushing around, dad's there. That complete social bubble is not anymore. I think it's more realistic. It comes home, no one's home, because both parents need to work because of the cost of living. They're on their own, they have to fend for themselves. Mum comes home next, maybe dad and brother, sibling, everyone is disjointed. PlayStation is essential to that young man's mind, and that's such a shame, because if you know anything about generational wealth, you learn how to make money from your parents. If you're lazy, if your parents are lazy, guess what?
gonna be lazy.
You're going to be lazy. So if you're watching this, because I am recording this, there's this do you know Oasis Academy? You know what this is?
Yeah.
So I met the owner of Oasis, and he stood on the same stage as me, and he said it so much more eloquently than me. So he stood on stage and he said, a flea, if you put a flea in a jar, it will bump its head for 2 hours, and you'll open the jar and it will never go higher, because it's told itself you can't go any higher. He said that's not even the sad thing. When that flea has a child, the child won't go any higher than that, and that child's child won't go any higher than that. It's within their DNA. Now, what he didn't know is a couple of years before that, I stood on that same stage and I caused a riot. I said, have you ever been to Oasis Academy? I looked at, and it's like theatre style, and I said, if your parents are unemployed, the chances are you're going to be unemployed. And the place went mad, and everyone was shouting, saying, you can't say that, you can't say that. And the head teacher came out and he said, actually, he's right. And then everyone settled down, and I said, if your parents were unemployed and your grandparents are unemployed, that means you're going to be unemployed as well, and it's going to go a whole generation, and your kids will be unemployed. Whole place went in berserk. I said, don't be that stat. And even to this day, I see people, young people in Starbucks and McDonald's and in car parks, and they're like, because of you I got this job. And I'm proud of that, because I told them the truth. I didn't piss around saying, oh, you're so great. Do you know you still get a prize for coming 8th? Fuck that.
Stupid.
Sorry to
How are you
swear.
going to learn to be motivated when you're getting prizes for doing the bare minimum?
How do you get a prize for being 8th?
I know.
Anyway.
It's ridiculous.
That's the difference. That's the trend. We're going in the wrong direction for helping our young people, when kids in India and the Philippines and Africa, they're hungry to work, and we're going to be in big trouble in this country if we don't fix up.
Okay. So
There's a lot of positives. There's not all negatives.
No, definitely. But do you think it's important then, when like these influencers are posting things, that they show the positives and the negatives?
I don't think it's their responsibility, really. They have a duty to do, but I think that they just want to generally just do their own content, and they're not thinking, oh my god, some young 20-year-old in Edmonton or Palmer's Green is going to watch this and mimic me. I don't think that's the case. I think they all generally mean well.
Okay. So then how would you say that the choice of someone's role model can really impact their like mindset and their aspirations?
What a great question. But who do you pick as your role model? It's a tough one, isn't it? Like, who's your role model?
I would say personally my parents, my family. But other people genuinely just idolise like celebrities. Like if you would ask someone, they wouldn't necessarily say their dad. They would say Andrew Tate, or even like anyone really, like that they really follow on social media.
Ronaldo, footballers, or their footballer or something. I think that's always been the way, but these people are within reach. You can almost touch them because they're in your bedroom and they're live, and you learn kinesthetically, like movement and audio and visual, and you're watching them and they're almost talking to you. So it's very powerful. I'd love, it's not my fight, but I'd love more people to have dinner with their family and put down the PlayStation and all eat together. I think that, what a dream. And I don't think it's coming back.
I agree. I don't think it's happening. Even at a family dinner, if people are gonna be down at the same time, they're not as engaged in a conversation as.
Well, in my house, we've got a rule: no headphones, no phones. When we're eating, it's a big deal to me. And do you know that rich families, mega rich families, lose their wealth within 3 generations? I bet it's going to start to be 2 generations, because granddad, grandmother makes the money. They teach dad, mum, and grandson, granddaughter screws it all up. That is how it generally goes, 3 generations. How you get generational wealth is granddad, grandmother speaks to grandkid, grandson. Like, that's how you, over dinner. And it's as simple as that. Keep your generational wealth.
Hmm. So you've already touched on this already, but in what ways do you think the goals of these young men are changing from different generations?
I think that they think that they're going to be millionaires by 21,
Hmm.
25. The big dream of, and if you're a YouTuber, you're making a lot of money. You can make £1 million a month, just as much as a footballer. But think how many YouTubers are out there, 20, 30 kind of 30 making that kind of money. You've got more chance of playing in the Premiership. So I think that a lot of young people dream, instead of dreaming about, I want to be a ballerina, I want to be a footballer, I want to be a, they're dreaming of being a YouTuber. But the YouTubers are dedicated to their craft. They're passionate about what they do. If you're not enjoying like staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning to get your YouTube edit just right, and you're just like, I will do, and then you only do it 6 times, that's not gonna get you to be an influencer, is it? You gotta grind, and to get grind, you gotta be passionate about what you're doing. So find something you're passionate about. Turn the camera on yourself. You know, when I joined YouTube, there was no phones. I had to get a camcorder, plug that into the computer to then upload it onto the internet. I didn't even have a YouTube name. I was like 01234. That was me. So it was back in the day. You know, it was a lot more difficult. But yeah, it was easier in some ways because the audience was it was easier to trick the algorithm.
Okay, and my last question is actually, what do you think about the aggressive approach that influencers try and use to encourage people? Do you think that's quite a good approach to be sort of saying, oh, like you're lazy, like get up, you're not making enough money, or do you think actually that's a quite a like a shit way to sort of motivate someone?
It's something I don't know if you know this about me. I've written a book about happiness, and to motivate a human being, it's generally accepted that there's 3 ways. One is fear of loss. Clean your room. You're lazy. You're shit. If you don't fix up soon, you'll amount to nothing. This works very short term. So you try it if you're a parent. I'm going to confiscate your phone. Yeah, it works the first time. I'm going to confiscate your phone on the 4th time, 5th time. They just don't care anymore. Right? So fear of loss is short term, works quickly, but doesn't work long term. Next one is opportunity for gain. Clear your room and I'll pay you £10. Clear your room, I'll buy you the next PlayStation that comes out. You got it. Do well in your grades, I'll pay for you to go to somewhere cool, and I'll get you a limo, and I'll pay for all your contact lenses, I'll buy you a nice watch. Opportunity for gain is far more motivating. But the one that lasts forever is when you're purposeful, when you actually love the shit that you do. So that dart player, how old is he? 17. He's the 2nd best dart player in the world. The kid's got natural talent, fair enough, but he's passionate about what he does. And if you see, like, do you watch tennis? Eric Carmu, whatever her name is, she won the American Open. You see young YouTubers making loads of money. It's because they're not talking shit. They're talking about what they really love.
It's true. And they do well doing it.
And they do well doing it. And they're passionate about it. And they put the detail in. And they're really happy. So even in the down times, when they can't be asked, they still do it. This has been a lovely interview. If you've got a comment, because if you're kind enough to let me do this, I'll put it on YouTube. Please make a comment down below. We would love to. You might even be part of the dissertation. Who knows? So put it down below. Let's please watch out for this superstar, and we'll go from there. Is that a cut?
That is.
Yay! Right.